Hey, hey, hey. So, of course, we all want to be healthy right now. We are in the middle of a pandemic. At one time, like when all the grocery stores were empty, I was like, we're in an apocalypse, actually. That's how it felt. And what was running through a lot of people's minds was like, I am maybe not prepared for this physically, right? Like, did anyone else think that? And so I'm Rhino Julian, the owner of the Rhino Gyms in Las Vegas, and I'm about to bring on, actually, here he is right here, Adrian. He is an expert in health and fitness, and he's going to answer some of my biggest questions. And I think there's some of your biggest questions too, just that we have right now because we are literally surviving a pandemic, and health and fitness is the big topic. How do you guard against COVID? Be healthy, work out. But it's not that easy, right? So if you've listened to my podcast, you know that I started my gyms because I was the worst. I hated exercise and I definitely hated the very thought of eating healthy. And so the problem with getting healthy for most of us is we would sign up for a challenge or a program and it was way too restrictive. And then life would get in the way. And because we didn't stay on track, we felt like we had already lost. And so then we felt like we might as well quit, or we'd sign up to a gym and we would never go. And I'm totally talking about myself right here. Like, I built my gym because I had a hard time with all of this. Or maybe we would get hard sold by people who are supposed to help us change our lives, but instead we spend a bunch of money and then we feel worse than we did when we first started because it wasn't the right program. Or maybe we join group classes and we're like, yeah, group classes, community, someone next to me pushing me. But then we're so sore after the first one that the very thought of going back is excruciating. And I see Coach Adrian shaking his head yes, because he's helped people who have told him this exact story. Am I right, Coach Adrian?
That is correct.
But guys, we are here to tell you that it is not your fault. That is the biggest thing I want to get across today. It's not your fault. Like, do you have any idea how many exercise programs I started and quit before joining this gym? Like, do you have any idea how many diets I quit, like after literally 4 hours, just because I felt like I couldn't do it? So I felt so bad about myself after starting and stopping over and over and over. So I totally get it. And I want to help you. And that's why I brought Coach Adrian on to help you feel good, build the life you want. And like I've said, I struggle with the same things that everyone else struggles with, which is why I have to have coaches like Adrian helping me even today. So he is trained on how to help you start with baby steps so that you don't just burn out and freak out and quit. Like, he is trained in this stuff. It's not like, if it's up to us, we're never going to figure it out on our own. And that's why we have these professionals. So I'm going to introduce Coach Adrian. He is a former U.S. Naval officer and health and fitness professional. He holds a master's degree in kinesiology, and he is certified through several top organizations, including the National Strength and Conditioning Association, USA Triathlon, and Precision Nutrition. And his mission is to help people of all backgrounds and fitness levels achieve their potential by providing high-quality health and fitness coaching. So I'm going to let him talk, I promise, but I'm just so excited. I have to say one more thing. So if you have the right coach, you don't have to be yelled at and forced into exercise and healthy eating. So did you know that at one time, I actually wanted to join the military just because I wanted someone forcing me to work out. Like, I wanted to do the boot camp and have someone force me to work out. And I just didn't think I had the motivation or the willpower to ever be consistent and exercise on my own. But guess what? If you have the right coach, a coach who has been trained, like Adrian has been trained, he's been trained on how to reshape your brain to enjoy exercise and being healthy. How freaking cool is that? But if you have Coach Adrian, it's not hard to stick to the program that he makes for you, because he actually helps you feel successful from like the very first steps. And motivation is not a thing. Like, we don't just have motivation one day to go and change our lives. We only feel motivated when we're already successful. And when we start a super strict hardcore program and then we're not successful right off the bat and we're sore and we don't want to go back, like, we just feel worse than when we started. So it's so important to start the right program, start with baby steps that are actually possible, which is why we need a good coach, the right coach, not one of those yelly, screamy, like, where are you? Why haven't you done this, coach? But no, it's okay. Life happens. This is an actual plan that you can stick to. This is something that you can actually start. And then we keep taking bigger and bigger steps. And as the steps become habits and the habits become healthy addictions, then we can't imagine not having health and fitness in our lives. Okay, I am so honored to bring Coach Adrian on to answer some of my burning questions. And now we get to let him talk. So Coach Adrian, thank you for coming on today. You're literally coming on today to help our city, to help our community. You're an absolute rock star trainer at the Northwest Rhino Gym. And I've heard you've also been killing it with your online clients and getting them amazing results during the pandemic. So first question for you, where I really do stop talking and let you talk. What is the first step that you take with someone who wants to work out like from home with your help? What's the first step that you take them through?
Yeah, absolutely. So before I get to that, I want to say, Julie, wonderful intro. So thank you for all those kind words. And I second everything that you've said, about health and fitness and all that stuff. So going into answering your question. So the very first step I take is I just want to talk with you. I just want to have a nice conversation with you, get to know you a little bit, your lifestyle, your background, what health and fitness means to you, where you've been, where you hope to go, things like that, and really kind of take a deeper dive into what you want to accomplish, but not just that what, not just the goal, but why, right? Take a real deep dive into why you want to accomplish what you want to accomplish, because if you don't know that why, or if it's not important enough to you, that is typically where I see, people not happy with where they're at, or not happy with the results, or seemingly not being able to ever reach that point of happiness, because they're always striving for something that their definition of happiness or success is not, right on point, where it should be. So the first step is to just have that conversation.
So this is definitely a topic for another day. You just made me think about, what if their why that they come in with is actually a why, like the wrong why, right? The wrong why could be from other people, like from the pressures of society. Like you come in and I talk to you thinking, Coach Adrian, I want to be skinny and I want to have a six pack. And and then we get deep into my why, and really I just want to be happy and I want to be loved. It's not the six pack. It's not. And so maybe we're not going to go try to get a six pack because my why is not deep enough for that. Maybe it turns into something else entirely, where you just help me feel good about myself and get confidence. And, it's not about the six pack after all, which is why it's so important to just sit down and talk to you first. We're going to talk about some of the traps that we can get into in the fitness industry. But, back in the day, I've been a coach for 16 years, and now I let people like you do the coaching because you're way better. You know so much more.
I'm sure you're wonderful, Julie.
Well, back in the day, I used to transfer my own goals onto people and my own feelings. And so what do you do to make sure that you actually get deep into their why, and you help them with what they need, and you keep your own personal, thoughts separated?
Yeah. Well, my experiences are important to a point, right? But it's not about me. It's ultimately about what the other person needs and wants. So in regards to that, I really try to get them to realize what it really starts with values, right? Everything kind of stems from values. What are the things that you value most in life? And that really ultimately, if you think about it, and you can maybe draw yourself a flow chart or something like that, your values ultimately shape your behaviors later down the line. So that's kind of like the deep rooted thing there, when you're trying to figure out, why isn't this program working for me, or what do I need to change, and that kind of stuff. So I like to focus a little bit deeper, where they're at, and what's important to them, and what's, if the priorities aren't quite in line what can we do to get them in line? So.
I love that.
Hmm.
It could be, a lot of us, and I can just speak for women, when we feel bad
Hmm.
about ourselves and we lack confidence and we, you know, I gained the quarantine 18. It wasn't the corn 15, it was the corn 18. And I loved going back to feeling like I don't fit in my clothes anymore, just to go back to understanding what a lot of, people go through. It felt good to like get back into that space, but it's really not just about fitting back into my clothes. It's about, like, a lot of times it's about, hey, I just want to be healthy and be around, as long as I can, and be with my family and have
Hmm.
energy so that I can be with my family. Because like, if family is your values, then maybe that's really why you want to feel good and you want to feel confident, is so that you can have
Hmm.
energy and feel good and be
Yeah.
happy and just be like the best, spouse or the best mother or the best
Yeah.
friend that you can be. And it
Yeah.
all just ties together. I love you're a fitness coach who starts with values. How
Yeah, well,
amazing is
absolutely.
that?
I mean, it's one of the biggest things, like many people don't even realize it until they have that second voice, that coach asking them the tough questions. Nobody's going to ask themselves the tough questions like that. So you need somebody else to do that. So.
Man, so I was gonna pay for therapy, but it sounds like I can just come talk to you.
You could always talk to me, Julie. At the very least, I will listen.
I love it. I absolutely love it. So, I want to hear like about your clients that
Mhm.
you currently have. And I just want you to think about just one client. And I want to hear, first of all, where did that client start and what problems were they having?
Mhm. So yeah, one client in particular I've been working with, so for 3 times per week online. She's just a regular 9 to 5, desk job. Some days are longer, some days are not, but she's had success in the past and knows what has worked for her in the past. I kind of like kept that in the back of my mind when figuring out, what to program for her and how we should approach coaching and that sort of thing. There was a couple of years where she wasn't really doing anything for herself. Something in the past threw her off a little bit, threw her off track. And then, like many people I've experienced this with, it's like an all or none thing, right? So nothing's really happening right now, so I may as well just throw in the towel. So, that was the experience with this particular client. And then she eventually came to me, and we got her started back on just a 3 times per week routine for a few months, and got her back into the swing of things. Not taking things like crazy right off the bat, trying to come into the gym or trying to do workouts 5 times per week and then potentially setting yourself up for failure. So I just started with her very slow, 3 times per week. That's something that is more than achievable. And that's not even like half your week. But 3 times per week is, if you're training the body, a full body routine 3 times per week, it's a fantastic way to see results. So, and it's also a lot easier to achieve that rather than going all in, you know, 5 times or 6 times per week, which very few people can sustain right off the bat. So, and then you can also always gradually increase from there if you need to. So that approach worked very well for her getting back into the routine after like a couple of years off, where after a couple of years off, the body just reverses, any fitness it's gained, and you're basically starting all over. So it
That
was
must
basically
be,
like,
oh, sorry to interrupt. That must be so
yeah.
hard mentally. And I've been
Hmm.
there, where I was in great shape at one time and then something happened and then I'm starting over, but I want to just get right back to where I was before. I want to do the things I was doing before. And
Hmm.
so how receptive was she to starting it 3 times a week and slowly easing back in?
Very, yeah, very receptive. So I lent her a couple pieces of equipment, and she even bought a couple things for herself, but nothing overkill. And I explained to her, I'm like, you've been out of the game for a while, a couple years. If you're injured, you're not doing anything. That's number one. So that's always like my philosophy on training is first do no harm. So if you're injured, you're not training, you're not improving your fitness, and it kind of like spirals from there. So movement quality is first and foremost like my biggest priority there. So she understood that. And there was actually a time, I think in her second or third week of training, where I was having her do some box push-ups, but she was doing it on a surface that was a little bit too strenuous for the wrist. So she started getting some wrist pain a little bit. And so I'm like, okay, let's take a step back from the wrist extension type stuff and let's do some more stretches. And, it was an honest mistake. Just, the surface was a little bit too hard, and we'll learn from there going forward, where we're not going to stress that area of the body anymore. We're going to take a step back, but we could do so much more stuff. We could train the lower body a little bit more. We could do a lot more core work. We'd still do plenty of upper body stuff. We had her do presses and all that, just nothing involving the wrist extension. So did that for a few weeks. And what do you know? She kept up with her stretches and foam rolling and that kind of stuff. And wrist got back to normal. And, voila, she was back doing push-ups on another surface. And during that time, she also saw steady weight loss too. It was not like, oh my God, my wrist hurts, I'm going to quit. No, like it's just an excuse. So yeah, that's where it really helps to have someone in your corner. You're like, okay, so your wrist hurts a little bit. That's fine. We have all this other stuff we could work on. Let's not just throw in the towel. And kept her going. And yeah, the results really spoke for themselves.
So I love group training, but that is something that we see so often in group training. It's why we start everyone now with an on-ramp before getting them into group training, is because when someone next to you is doing something and your wrists are hurting, but someone next to you is doing it, you just push through, and then you push through for weeks. And then all of a sudden, a little thing becomes a big thing.
Right.
And so I absolutely love one-on-one training for that, because, the pride area is just kind of taken away because it's you and your coach, and your coach wants what's best for you. And in a few weeks she's back, and, it's great. And she could still, so I want to hear about her results. So you had her do a 3-day-a-week program, and you said that she was steadily losing weight. Like, what do you contribute that to? Were you helping her with other things as well as the 3-day-a-week workout?
Yeah. We did a little bit of nutrition coaching as well. So I had her fill out a little questionnaire that I came up with about nutrition habits, daily, weekly type habits and choices surrounding her nutrition, what she thought were her particular weaknesses surrounding nutrition as well. And we focused on just one little thing, and that made a pretty big difference. So it was just kind of switching around. It was the tiniest little thing. It was switching around like the snacks that she normally ate and had around her house. So she was a big chip person. Lay's, potato chips, that kind of stuff. Yeah, you too.
I like tortilla chips, but yes.
Yeah, I'll give you a good substitute after this. So
I would love that.
It's just a step better,
just a step better.
Yeah, just a step better, than
Still shouldn't
regular...
binge on it, but
yeah, yeah, exactly. So better than regular Tostitos.
So she's seen. So what results has she seen, and how long has she been training with you?
Yeah, so 3 months, and over the course of that 3 months, she saw about 10 pounds of weight loss. Yeah.
And it's fun weight loss, right? I call it fun weight loss when you're not restricting yourself, you're not going crazy, you're not living a lifestyle that you hate. It's fun weight loss because those 10 pounds are probably gone forever because she didn't lose them in a way that's not sustainable.
Yeah, for sure. It wasn't restrictive or anything. I didn't give her any calorie counts. I didn't give her any macros to worry about. So I was just like, let's, focus on this one snack. Let's make your chips into apple chips or dried apple chips or some sort of fruit chip. And she's like, yeah, I would definitely give it a try. And what she actually ended up doing was not getting any chips, and she was perfectly fine with it. So I'm like, yeah, but that
was her choice.
That was her choice.
Yeah.
That was absolutely her choice. And she ended up making a lot of other little nutritional choices just because of that. I didn't really have to do much. I'm not saying that is the way it always is, because it definitely isn't. But in this particular case, it was. And it was an absolute pleasure to see that. And she even said like her roommates, took some of her newfound wisdom and healthy lifestyle habits as well and made some changes too. So that was just and I was blown away by that. So it was pretty awesome.
Changing lives. You know, the way you're talking about nutrition reminds me of our head nutritionist, Sabrina. And you guys have the, you know, some of the same certifications. And I love it. I'm in her 12-week challenge and we're in week 5 and we have not talked about calories. You know, we've talked about how a plate looks and stuff like that. But there's no real restrictions. It's just learning. It's like the best kind of nutrition program ever because you just learn. You learn about yourself. You learn about what's good for you, what, you know, is better for you, better options, and it's not restrictive and it's just fun. So I love that. So one of the things that has impressed me so much about you as a coach, because I took some of your classes, you know, online, like I was with you online during the pandemic, and you have so many tricks. Like I call them magic tricks because to someone like me, who had never come across them, when you led us through them, I was like, oh, this is amazing.
Pulling them out of my pockets.
Exactly. So, you know, and at that time we were all super stressed out. And you, every time you taught us, you helped us through the stress as well. Like we did the workout, but you helped us through the stress with like some breathing thing. You keep coming up with these tools. Like you've helped people run better. I just keep seeing it. So what drives you to keep learning all of these tools for your clients?
Yeah. So for me, my biggest danger to myself is complacency. So when I get complacent, you know, I kind of lose a sense of purpose. So having a sense of purpose in my life is huge. And the second I stop learning, the second I stop growing, to be completely honest. Like, and if I'm not learning something new, somebody else is, and they're advancing their career, and I'm behind the times, basically. So in this field, whether it's strength and conditioning, general health and fitness, it's always evolving. Always. There's always new, you know, science being done. There's always something new to learn. So that's really just, you know, the way I feel about it. And if I'm not sharing it with other people, then what's the point? You know, so that's my whole, you know, philosophy with it. And believe it or not, when I was younger, I used to hate reading. Hated it. You can ask my mom. Like it was awful. Yeah. And I'm still kind of a slow reader to this day, but you know, I listen to a lot of audiobooks now because I could get through them faster. But yeah, it just, you know, completely turned around when I really went back for like my master's and was getting prepared for that. I just found something that I really enjoyed doing, which is health and fitness. And the more I learn, it's like I feel better. You know, I just feel better. Like I get a few hits of satisfaction with every time I learn something new, and it's a good feeling, you know. And if I'm not doing that, then I just kind of get like blah. You know?
I love it. And you know, us normal people, and I'm lumping myself in there because I'm no longer a coach. I'm no longer in the game, right? I need to get my information from you. And I trust that you and our other coaches are always leveling up and continuing your education because this is what you're focused on. You're an expert in this field. This is your career. This is your life. It's your passion. And it's so important that we have people like you that are continuing to learn because I don't want to try to go figure out what I'm supposed to do. Like as far as eating, as far as exercising, I just want to be told because my why is I want to, you know, impact the world and help, you know, people build better lives, help small business owners. And I don't want to be a nutrition and fitness expert. And sometimes when you go and you try to get help, like you go in, and I'm just going to use insurance as an example, and don't hate me if you're an insurance agent. Sometimes I feel like when I go to get insurance, I like have to be an expert on it in order to get it. And it's like, no, I'm not an expert. And so I finally found an agent who like, she knows everything and she's so passionate about it and she just helps me. And it's the same with real estate. It's the same. Like we don't want to be experts on these things. We want to be able to trust somebody else to get the best information and help us like help, you know, ourselves.
So, yeah, absolutely. Yep.
I love it.
I just bought a house not too long ago and couldn't have done that without my real estate agent. So thank God for the professionals in other fields. Yeah.
Exactly. And That's one of the reasons I'm doing, this interview with you is I just want people to know that you're there. You just told everyone you're going to go and listen. And I'm going to ask you in just a little bit how people can reach out to you.
Hmm.
But first, I want to ask you this. Like, so many of us are just kind of scared right now, like with the whole pandemic thing. Like, we know we need to be healthy, but the idea of driving to the gym and signing up is super daunting. And it's
Hmm.
just really hard to know if we can trust like online fitness coaches, especially with all the fads out there. Like we're just talking about, we want to be trustworthy. We're not just in this to make money. This is our passion. This is our career. It's our livelihood. So for those of us who are scared, not sure what the first step should be, what is the best first step that you think someone should take to start on their health and fitness journey on their own? Like, I mean, I think the first step
Hmm.
is to give you a call, which we're going to tell them how to do next. But
Hmm.
let's say they're scared to do that. What's the best first baby
Hmm.
step?
Yeah. So the best first baby step would be going back to what I said before about your values and being honest with yourself, like brutally honest with yourself, and write, get out a piece of paper, write down some stuff about what you truly want, right? And get it all out there, put it on that piece of paper, fold it up, put it away, and refer back to it, all right? Because as the process continues, you're going to lose sight of why you started this in the first place and what it truly means to you. And that's how people become lose that motivation over time. So they lose sight of that. So right there would be like, step number one, right? Just figure out what it means to you, why you want to do it, and ask yourself why 5 times until you
Okay.
get to until
Yeah.
you get to that deep reason for
Yeah.
why you want to achieve the goal you want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember, so I was doing this exercise kind of, with some of our coaches, and it was fake. But I was like, you know what? Let me transfer back to 2004 Julie, and let me answer as if I'm 2004 Julie when I was 65 pounds heavier and just super miserable and sad. And
Mm-hmm.
so we went through the whys. And the first why that was asked, okay, why, Julie, why do you want to lose these 65 pounds? And I'm like, oh, well, I want to look good. Well, why do you want to look good? Anyways, long story
Mm-hmm.
short, the deepest why was that I wanted to be loved and I
Mm.
didn't feel lovable.
Mm.
Like it just got deep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Got
Yeah.
so deep
Uh-huh.
that I was like holding back tears for
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
Julie of
Yeah.
2004.
Well, that's what's going to get you through, like think about like life is ups and downs. It's not perfect. It's not sunshine and rainbows every day. You're going to get up at some point feeling like crap, sorry for my
Yeah.
language, but okay, so what's going to get you out of bed and to the gym
Yeah.
that day?
Yeah.
Well, is it because I want six-pack abs? Probably not.
No, not
It's going
really.
to be something a little bit deeper than that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's huge. Hmm.
So 2004 Julie, she hates exercise, and she can't stick to anything. And her longest time being on a diet was 4 hours. She figured out her why, she wants to
Hmm.
be loved. I'm talking in third person. She wants to be loved, right? And what's the next step? The next baby step as far as health or nutrition? And she
Hmm.
wrote it down. She wrote down what she wants. She wants to
Hmm.
lose weight. She wants to feel better about herself so that, she can feel lovable, basically. What's the
Hmm.
next step?
Yep. What's the process? What's the process for getting
Mm-hmm.
you to that point? So, and the process is to find a qualified, um, first, of course, qualified,
Yep.
knowledgeable,
Yeah.
wonderful coach that's going to work with you, not just tell you what to do, but one that's going to work with you and to help you achieve, what you want to achieve, and consistently remind you and ask you the tough questions and push you, and to just have that conversation, the first conversation. It's not committing to anything. It's just having a conversation. So you've had the conversation with yourself. Okay, now have it with a coach and see where it goes from there.
Do you know why you're right about this? Like, I honestly wanted you to tell people to drink more water, get more sleep, the tactics. But do
I
you
can
know
tell
why?
them
No,
for,
no,
yeah, yeah.
no, but do you know why you're right about this, Coach
Why is that?
Adrian? Is
Hmm.
because I didn't get, well, I did. I went to 24-hour fitness and I got a coach who didn't ask me anything, just
Hmm.
put me on a treadmill, and I was really overweight, but I had run a marathon. Like I was overweight,
Hmm.
but I had done some stuff, right? Even though I hated exercise. And he just had me walk on the treadmill for 5 minutes, and then he put me on a Bosu ball with my big old rear end up in the air at 24-hour fitness, and I was just so uncomfortable. And then he did these weird
Hmm.
stretches, and it was just, the whole situation was so awkward that I never hired a coach again. And I
Hmm.
went and started my own gym, and I was going to be the coach. And the reason you're right is that for me to finally get to what I wanted, which was to feel lovable and to love myself,
Hmm.
it took me 15 years.
Hmm.
15 years. And it's
Yeah.
because I never did have a coach. Like I was the coach, and I was trying to teach myself and learn it on my own. And I was trying to read books, and it took me 15 years. And if you would have met 2004 Julie,
Hmm.
this conversation that you're talking about right now
Hmm.
just would have changed my entire life. It would have fast tracked
Wow.
that process.
Hmm.
And I had never thought about that until you and I are speaking, like right
Oh,
now. Because,
oh.
and I get so into tactics, and
Hmm.
it's wrong. I mean, it's not wrong. It's just most of us, when we go online and we're like, we're going to inspire the world. Hey, everybody drink more water. That's great. But really, that first conversation that you're talking about is crucial. And all
Hmm.
of our coaches are trained in that first conversation, and how to have that first conversation and how to get deep into the why. But here we are online with you. And so, Coach Adrian, like, how do they have that first conversation with you? Like,
Hmm.
how do we get them on with you? Can I put up your booking link? Does that sound
Yeah.
cool? Or,
Yeah, absolutely.
okay.
Yep. Put it up.
Okay.
And, I'm always looking forward to working with whoever, right?
I
So
love
whatever
it.
your background is, wherever you want to go, let's have that first conversation. So you can email me, Adrian@camprhino.com.
Adrian at
Yep.
camprhino.com. Do you have
Hmm.
any final thoughts to share? Maybe we sparked something that you feel like needs to get out there. Maybe you have something that you wanted to share when we started this interview, that might help
Hmm.
our community.
Hmm. Yeah. Final, like, closing thoughts. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to fail. I mean, if you're, I guess I shouldn't say that. Acknowledge your fear. It's okay if you feel fear. You're human. It's an emotion. All right, but um, just taking that step into bettering your health and fitness, and more importantly, immune system as well in these times too, through better nutrition and exercising, the majority of your week, that is going to give you a lot more confidence to deal with the fear that you may be feeling, right? Specifically in regards to COVID, the pandemic that we're going through right now. It can be, scary, for people going through this right now that are maybe uncertain of their health. But I can tell you one thing: if you improve your nutrition and um, uh, and start getting into the gym, the majority of your week, that is going to make a drastic improvement on your immune system. And from there, you'll just be a lot more confident. And with confidence, that improves brain function as well. And it just kind of like spirals positively from there. So, if I were to say just one thing, just, take that first step and you won't regret it.
This was an amazing interview. I know that you work for Camp Rhino. I own Camp Rhino, but I actually learned a lot today. And this is just absolutely fantastic to see how my coaches are just so much more of an expert than I ever was. And I
I
love
appreciate
having you
that.
guys to lean on, and to, I can't wait to help our community. So
Hmm.
thank you again for the interview.
Thanks, Julie. It was really a pleasure being on.